I'm Lynn Hall. I'm a private lactation consultant. I've also worked as a midwife for many years. I see women antenatally as referrals from some of the obstetricians. Seeing mothers antenatally really helps them understand exactly what the baby's going to do when the baby's first born. By expressing antenatally, they become used to using or handling their breasts and their nipples. We've got a supply of colostrum so that when the baby does deliver, if there's any concerns or issues about supply, instead of babies needing to receive formula, we can then give them colostrum. By stimulating the breasts before the baby is born, it's also, if you like, switching the brain on a bit more effectively sooner rather than later to be ready to breastfeed. We know that we can start expressing around about 34 weeks. So if I see the girls around 34, 35 weeks, tell them how it's all done and ask them to start doing it in the morning and at night. The girls are often very surprised and very thrilled at the amount of colostrum they then bring in. This is quite a new thing to be able to start so early, which we thought that if we stimulated breasts that we might stimulate them to actually have premature babies. But as one of the obstetricians said to me, that it's no different to women having sexual intercourse, and unless there's a problem that they can't do that in the last few weeks of their pregnancy, it's considered safe to also express many weeks before the baby's due. Baby-led attachment seems to make breastfeeding much more successful in those early days. If we put a baby on the tummy and let the baby do its own travelling up the stomach, that it's really keyed in and prepared to, if you like, survive, and its instinct is very much driven to getting onto that nipple and attaching to the nipple within the first hour. The less we do, the more successfully the baby will attach. Often I've seen girls, particularly after Caesars, where this self-attachment hasn't been encouraged as much as it would be with a normal delivery. Even weeks after the baby's been born, if there's been problems, often we can get the baby to go back to that starting position of being put between the breasts and allowing the baby to start from the beginning and learn to self-attach. We know from research that if babies are allowed to do this without interference, that babies will often very successfully self-attach, usually within the first hour, half hour. Often it may take some a bit longer and it will be an hour. Research has very clearly shown that rooming in is much more successful in helping mothers and babies attach and form a partnership with their breastfeeding. Mothers will actually sleep and settle and feel much more comforted knowing that their baby is in the same room with them, sleeping while they're then able to sleep. Mothers learn to recognise the early signals of babies stirring as they're getting ready to feed. Being able to feed the baby quickly before it becomes distressed, again, attachment and even self-attachment at that stage is much easier and works much more successfully. The importance of attachment can never be underestimated or overlooked. To have that 100% perfect attachment means that everything else will fall into place much more effectively. That means the attachment ensures that there's no painful nipples. It also ensures that there's good drainage of the breast, and by feeding well from a perfectly good attachment, babies will also settle much more effectively. For many of us as lactation consultants, what we're coming in to do is to help parents get back to the beginning. Watch an attachment, refine the attachment if need to, because the attachment in itself resolves many issues. And once we've refined or helped the mum get into a really comfortable position where she is able to feed comfortably and without pain, we can then talk through the issues of feeding and settling. One of the biggest challenges we face as lactation consultants particularly is when you see mothers in the early days after they've had the baby or even in the early weeks. The first thing that they will say is that they've been overwhelmed by the misinformation, the amount of information that they're given, and they're then left confused as to where and what they should be doing. A lot of information, while well-intentioned, is often given to mothers even though they haven't asked for the information. So there are a lot of wives' tales out there, the in-laws, the outlaws, the best friend. Everyone's got an opinion that always parents don't want to be given, but it will be given to them nevertheless. The most important thing that we need to do as professionals is that we must support what the parents are doing. And we must support the fact that you as parents have got a natural instinct that tells you what you should be doing with your baby. So to have someone telling you that you should be putting your baby into a 4-hourly routine, you should only be feeding the baby 6 times a day, encouraging your baby to self-settle by itself at the age of 2 or 3 days of age is really of no use. There are many ways that you can contact a lactation consultant. Often the first place is a referral from the hospital. You can also look at the ILCA website, as does ALCA. You can also contact ABA, and failing that, sometimes the GPs. Lactation consultants, because of our need to remain current and updated, will only deliver to you information that is evidence-based, is current, and has got the backing of research.